Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How is everyone doing today? Hope you're all well. Give it a couple of minutes before we get started. Again, thank you for joining the session. If you're on TradingView or on YouTube, do drop a message and say hi. And while you're at it, you can do the big thumbs up and the rocket ship button as well if you're on TradingView. Thumbs up on YouTube. Hey Mabaso, how you doing? I'm well. Apart from that slippage yesterday, not happy. Hey Spiros, I have an interesting trade idea that I'll share with you guys as well. Hey Nick, how you doing? Couple of minutes and we shall get started. Hey, in the meantime, if you entered any trades, let me know how have you been doing. It's always quite one directional this way, so I would love to find out if can get a way where I can get more feedback from you guys. Hey Angel Case, how you doing? Let's see who else turns up. Where's the regulars? One more minute and we shall go. Short on the USD CHF. It looks good. It looks very good. Good morning, Ishb93. What about everyone else? Any trades that you're in or had got in or is getting out of? Yesterday profited from the pound dollar. Big move. It was exactly as we expected on a pound dollar. Very happy you got profit from that. I didn't ride the whole thing because I had too many other trades, opportunity. I was scalping in between everything, so I didn't get the whole move, but I did catch some of that. Hey BL, hey Mad Maniac, how you doing? Alrighty, let's get started. So again, thank you all for jumping onto this session. Thank you all for making the time out of your day to jump onto this session together with me, the daily market analysis. So we do this every day, 3 p.m. GMT plus 8. Whether it's early in the morning for you guys or you're watching a recording of this, which I know many of you are as well. Good to have you here. Intention for this session is really to give you the trade plan for hopefully the day where we identify trade setups based on the fundamentals and based on the technical price levels. Combine that together, we look for trade setups, which has been working quite well. I would like to say, I think we've done this for about 1.5 months now already, daily. Well, no, I had a short break for one period of time, right? So almost daily for 1.5 months. What I think most of the time happens is either the trade doesn't get triggered, right? Or we have a small loss, or we ride, we anticipate a good move and we ride quite a big trade or quite a big profit on the trades as well. Okay, so, but that said, the normal disclaimer still applies, which I'll show you later. What we also have is a Discord channel. So do make sure that the link is there on YouTube, the link is there on TradingView as well. Do make sure you join onto the Discord channel. I'll tell you, it's free now and it's free forever. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you that, oh, it's free now, join, it's going to increase price or whatever. It's going to be free now, it's going to be free forever. I just want to do this to support you guys, to help you with your trades. We can take the discussion beyond this 1 hour session, through the market sessions. As I'm trading, as I'm looking at markets, I'll be able to share with you quick updates on what I'm looking for, what I'm looking at. And you also get a community where everyone else trading shares their opinions as well. Okay, and I've been looking through the trade ideas. I've been looking at what everyone's been sharing. Very good, very high quality content there. No one going for crazy trades or ridiculous kind of trade setups. So do make sure you join. The link is there. Thank you, Spiros. I'm very thankful for you guys to be on the session and to be in the community as well. Right? Nick sold the US yen on the news. I did the US yen. I did a quick scalp on the US yen, and then I did buy back up as well. So yesterday we were talking about it, letting it drop and then looking to buy back up. I did both the drop and the buy, so I was quite happy with that. Okay, so if you are new to the session, do make sure that you drop a message, say hi. The links are there. At any point in time, if you have a question, please feel free to put it into the chat. Let me know. I'll be happy to answer your question, repeat any points or elaborate further on any points, okay? Oops, as a quick disclaimer, do remember that any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. Your objectives, financial situation, and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. And please do your own due diligence, DYODD, because the contents of this webinar is not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product. I do put in all the levels, entry levels, stop loss levels, take profit levels, but it's not going to be something that you're going to just blindly copy, or shouldn't be something that you blindly copy. I really intended for you to learn how to identify setups, right? Learn from the setups, and if it fits with your own trading strategy and methodology, then you jump into the trade. I had some questions about trade signals, which we used to provide. We don't do the trade signals anymore, just because a lot of people just copy the trade signals, and then sometimes it makes money, sometimes it doesn't, or you look at it later and then you jump into a trade after that. It just doesn't, it's not intended to be just a trade signal. I really want it to be something that you build that skill, right? You enhance your skill, you build a skill, just so that, in a longer term, you'll be more confident, you'll be more independent, despite having the community there for you guys. Hey, Suki, how are you doing? Hey, Ayakame, how are you doing? Okay, so let's get going. Hey, Kavindu, good to have you here. So what we normally do is a quick review of what has happened before, okay? Quick review of what has happened before, and then we look into what's coming up to identify possible trade setups. This is exactly how I enter trades, right? I look at the news. I try to think about what could happen, which ones to pay attention to. Then I look into the charts to look for levels where price could react towards. Then I jump into trades, or I set up to jump into trades as the price moves. So what we had last night, the big news event last night, was the US CPI data, right? The US CPI year on year, kind of what we expected. So I think I was telling you guys that it was 6%. Initially, I think on Monday, Tuesday, they were saying that it's going to be 5.2. They were forecasting 5.2. Yesterday, it got revised down to 5.1. I was telling you guys that, I'm possibly expecting the 5%. So very happy that it did come out at 5. CPI month to month was a little bit lower than I expected. So I thought it would be a 0.2, came out at 0.1. This led to significant downside on the dollar, right, on the dollar index. Why so? Is because if you look at this, the highest point on inflation, on CPI, year on year was July last year, where it's at 9.1%. And since 9.1%, it's dropped to 8.5, 8.3, 8.2, and slowly, steadily to the downside, and now finally at 5%. So at this 5% level, it really indicates or should signal to the Fed Reserve that inflation growth is on a downward move, right? The concern initially from Chair Powell was that the data might be transient, might not be as reliable because of input prices. But now, with CPI or inflation growth steadily to the downside or dropping steadily, this should signal that further interest rate hikes might not be necessary, right? And that's the view the market is taking on. The market is looking at the way inflation is dropping or inflation growth is dropping, and then they're thinking like, all right, this might mean that we're not going to see, or the Fed Reserve does not need to hike rates or might not need to hike rates further. Supported with the good employment numbers that we saw from the non-farm payrolls on Friday, right? So again, it's showing that, okay, we don't need, or Fed Reserve doesn't need to hike rates. Employment numbers are good. Economy is relatively stable. No big concern there. So don't need to hike rates. Don't need to do anything too crazy. What we saw here on the dollar index, where's my box? Okay, there it is. Right, what we saw here on the dollar index, we were talking about this yesterday, where we were saying that, hey, if it does break below that 102 level, we could see it drop towards that 101.50 level, right? 101.60 level. Okay, so about there. It came down as much as 101.44, retraced a little bit, and right now looking like it's pushing back down, a continuation of the trend to the downside. So if I did this, let me just do that. This box kind of gets in the way sometimes. All right, so I'll take that away because it's broken. So it's pushing to the downside. We're looking at this testing that 101.40, coming to test at 101.40 level, which was last tested in early April at the start of the month, and it rebounded from there. So we're at the point that you have to be super careful on the dollar index, right? Why super careful despite the news is that one, technical levels, it did bounce from this point, and two is that although we have CPI numbers being a lot dropping, right? CPI growth slowing down, which could indicate that slowdown in interest rate hikes. You'll notice that, and I'm going to do a lot of scrolling here because I don't remember when is it going to be. Actually, I kind of know, but I'm going to scroll. The Fed Reserve, where is it? The next interest rate decision from the Fed Reserve is on the 4th of May, right? The next interest rate decision is going to be on the 4th of May, which is quite a while away, right? It's quite, I don't know what a better word is, but it's quite a while away. So a lot of other data could be released before then, right? So like, for example, PMI numbers, core PCE price index, that's going to be important. That's on the 28th of April. Advanced GDP for the US on the 27th. Consumer confidence, not so much. PMI numbers into next week. Right, so we do have a lot more data to be released for the US in the lead up to this interest rate decision in May from the FOMC. So because of that, it's not something that, the data is now, we're going to see an immediate impact or immediate result. A lot of things can change between now till the interest rate decision. So just be extra careful with the dollar index trading down to this point. I do still think that we might, or we're anticipating this to break to the downside, but we might see some rebound, we might see some retracement before turning back down, right? Especially with this trend line there. What could happen is that we might see this do that, and then after that, turn back down again. All right, so barely, yeah, about there. All right, we might see this test this level, bounce back up, and then turn back down. You can see it reacting several times like that already. So still looking for that downside on the dollar index, but being at such a low point, we might see some bounce from here. Okay, so just be careful at that 101.40 level. Hey Celine, how are you doing? I'm new to the community. Thank you for having me and thank you for the effort in doing this. You're most welcome. I enjoyed this. So good to have you here. You know, the way we make this work better for everyone is ask questions. We're all here to help. I'm new to this community. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the job you're doing. Thank you, La Festo. Good to have you here as well. Hey, M Leader. M Leader gave me the money bag sign, so I guess he made money as well. All right, Kavindu is here. Suki is here. Good to have you all. Okay, so that's my view on the dollar index. Today being the 13th. Lucky it's not Friday the 13th, Thursday the 13th. The dollar index is testing the 101.40 level. I'm looking for it to possible rebound, brief rebound, but still downward move expected. Okay. With that, do note that the next key support level is at 100.84, very significantly lower, which if I went to the daily time frame, this was a level we saw in February. So about 2 months ago, we saw this level, and you can see that once it touched this level, it shot straight back up. So just be extra careful. Now getting back to here, right? It's testing. I'm anticipating might not be a huge bounce, might not be such a big bounce, maybe up to this level again. We've already seen it happen once, might see it again, but overall, I'm still looking for it to trade down. I would say 101 would be the level, although we have that key support level at 100.84. Okay, hey Robbie, how are you doing? Okay, so that's the view on the dollar index with what happened last night on the CPI data release, big downside move. And this was pretty much expected through our sessions that we've been talking about. The next thing that happened was the Bank of England Governor Bailey speaking. All right, didn't do too much in terms of price volatility because it was only half an hour after the CPI number, which was the main driver. Right, we did see the pound dollar shoot to the upside. It's not so much because of what he was saying. It was more because of that dollar weakness. So I'll ignore that for now. Then the next big one was the Bank of Canada with their interest rate decision at 4.5%, holding rates at 4.5%. Okay, and you can see that they've been holding rates since March and then now again. What happened here with the Bank of Canada's interest rate decision is that they held rates. Okay, so this was at the 10 o'clock time, and then it continued pushing down. All right, it continued pushing to the downside. Zoom in a little bit. We're talking about this yesterday. We were looking for that bounce to hit and turn down. It actually did as we expected. Right, it went up, hit that level, and then turned down again. I don't know why I drew it at this point. It should have been there. So that worked out quite nicely. If I did that, that worked out quite nicely for us. Okay, I was too distracted on all the other pairs. I didn't jump into this. In fact, I only remembered about the Bank of Canada's interest rate decision after. So I was looking at it only at about 10:30. So I was looking at the yen, the pound yen, and the pound dollar. So I kind of missed out on the US CAD. Okay. Yep. So as I was saying, that because they were holding rates at that 4.5%, right, with no change, the overall directional bias of the US CAD was going to be dependent on the dollar index. So with the dollar index weakening, pushing to the downside, at 10 o'clock, we actually saw that continuation of the push down. So did any of you get into this US CAD trade, or any trades that we spoke about yesterday? Do let me know. All right, we have a very nice trade on the pound that we had yesterday as well. Okay. Then moving on, what we had after that was 2 a.m. FOMC meeting minutes. Didn't do too much at that point. I read through the minutes. It wasn't a big surprise, so nothing to, it was still more focused on the banking sector. It was still more focused on, the worries back then. So it didn't influence prices too much at this point. This was a little bit of a surprise here. This morning, unemployment rate and employment change for the Aussies, we were expecting a bad news, expecting the Aussie dollar to drop because, we were expecting unemployment rate to go from 3.5 to 3.6, stayed at 3.5%, and employment change was actually a little bit higher than expected, right? More people getting into jobs, which comes to the point where we saw the Aussie dollar pushing higher, right? Aussie dollar here this morning, take that away, pushing this morning here, pushing higher, but resistance level still holds, so that upward move was a little bit capped. We're looking for it now still to break to the upside if that dollar weakness does continue. So no big, a bit of a surprise there, but no big trading opportunity because we were expecting for this to drop. Just before, well, not just before, 1 hour before, seems like we've got so much news to talk about. 1 hour before this session, pound GDP number was revised from 0.3 to 0.4%, expected a 0.1%. So expecting that drop, came out at a 0% in terms of GDP month to month. Didn't do too much on the pound dollar right on the release of the news. So at 2 o'clock, the news release saw it drop a little bit despite the bad news, but now pushing significantly higher because of that dollar weakness, right? Because of that dollar weakness. I did a little bit on the pound dollar last night, but did anyone else get onto the pound dollar? This was a very nice trade. I think someone was saying, Angel Case was saying that she got into the pound dollar. All right, so do let me know if you got into that trade as well. Vinesha got pound yen for 30 pips in live and 60 pips in demo. Fantastic, very good. I wasn't very happy with my pound yen because I was scalping it and I got slipped out of it, so I'm not happy. Slippage. And then Celine did the pound dollar. Fantastic. This was a very nice move. I'm super happy when I'm super happy when I come to the point where I'm able to not just identify a move to the upside. I look at it as a bounce and then a push up. I like to be able to identify a two-directional move. So that kind of bounce off the support and push up. That's where I get my excitement from. Sounds terrible. Okay. So with that, tonight we do have PPI numbers to come from the US. PPI is the Producer Price Index. At this point, I don't think it's going to influence prices too much. Even if we do come out with a good number, it's unlikely to cause the dollar index to push, to rebound strongly. I think that the only risk, not really a risk. The only thing that could happen is if it's a bad news, it's going to push the dollar index significantly or lower again, right? It's going to force another move lower. So I'm not too concerned here. I think right now the approach will be to so-called follow the trend, look for a break of any resistance levels or support levels before jumping into trades, which could work quite well for our session today. M leader got onto CAD and pound, mainly scalp, but really decent pips, more than expected. Fantastic. I'm super happy that you're all getting good profits from the session, from what we're sharing here, hopefully from what we're sharing here. So very good to see. Okay, so that's what we have in terms of news coming up into tomorrow. Not much else until the retail sales numbers to be released, and it doesn't look like good news. It doesn't look like good news coming up. I'll tell you more about this tomorrow during the session, but we're expecting core retail sales to go from minus 0.1 to minus 0.4. If that does come around, then we're going to see another big drop on the dollar index. So with that, let's look at the charts. We've done this one on the dollar index. Now let's look at the Kiwi dollar. Okay, so Kiwi dollar, we didn't see a surprise, so we didn't see a stronger dollar index. It didn't break the support. In fact, it's bouncing up. So at this point, what I would say, this is a support level here. Okay, support level from 21st of March. It's actually bounced off this support. What I would like to say is not a support level, but a support area. Okay, so it's bounced off that support area. Looks like if we do see the dollar index continue dropping to break below this point and see big downside. Whoa, I just heard a loud, massive thunder. Hi, Signal Mark. Good morning. Yeah, very nice trade there, Spiros, on the US CAD. Fantastic. Okay, if we do see the dollar index continue dropping, I would say that we could see the Kiwi dollar test that 6294 level. However, don't rush into a trade yet. It does need to break above that interim level of 6239 or 6240. Okay, it needs to break past this point to get there. You can see that last night it tested this level and retraced and consolidated. Now it looks like it's pushing up, but it does need to break past this point. If you were looking to enter a trade, then that's about a 40 pip move. You could have a 20 pip stop loss, a 1:2 to the upside. That could be, yeah, okay, I'll be happy with that. So Kiwi dollar, I'll be looking to buy above 0.6245, 40 pip stop loss, 20 pip take profit. So no more dollar strength, buy above 0.6245, stop loss 20, TP 45. All right, cool. In fact, looking at this, I think maybe it won't bounce at this point, might break a little bit lower before a small rebound and then trade back down again. So I'm looking at something like that. Okay, on the Aussie dollar, okay, so Aussie dollar, it's interesting that you can see yesterday's move, although the big spike up, it came to that almost that 0.6730 level, 61.8% fib level, failed to break higher. It's testing that level right now. What I would do is possibly, and this could be a quick soonish kind of trade, where I'm looking for it to break above this level, maybe in the next 30 minutes. If it closes above, we could be looking for a buy, right? Very similar to the Kiwi dollar, but it's not an intraday level. It's quite a key level here. So 6735, 6740. You could be a bit safer. 6740, again, about a 50 pip take profit, a 25 pip stop loss, a 1:2 risk reward ratio to the upside on the Aussie dollar. So 6740, 25 to 50. Yeah, makes sense. I would like that. If I did that, no, okay, I'm happy with this. Especially as it breaks above the 61.8 level, I would say is a good retracement or good correction to the upside. 6740. So Aussie dollar buy 0.6740, stop loss 25, TP 50. Okay. Opinion on Aussie CAD. Okay, I will get to that shortly, Spiros. So that's the Aussie dollar. Not ready yet. Do wait for it to break above and close. Remember, if you haven't already, I know this gets a little bit laggy, but if you haven't already, the video is there. I've just done one today, right? I had the questions about when to enter the trade, whether to close, or whether to wait for the close or to wait for the during the candle. The link is there. Do watch that. Do catch that. Let me know if it helps you guys. Okay. So that's there. Next up, US yen. Okay, so this was very interesting. The US yen, I got in and I did something that I always tell you guys not to do. I got in right before the news. Right, I got in right before the news on the, I think about 2 minutes or 3 minutes before the news. Got into the trade, selling it down because we were expecting that downward move on the dollar index. So it actually did shoot down. I didn't, so take that away because it didn't trigger, and take that away because it didn't trigger. Clean up the charts a bit. I did this right at the news. I only went for a 40 pip, right? Just because it was before the news, I had a 20 pip stop, I had a 40 pip, and that went down. That was a good trade down, and then a bounce back up, right? A bounce back up. That was a quick scalp back up, but that's it. So that was the US yen, right? I was still looking for that upward push on the yen. Take that away, right? I'm still bullish on the US yen despite what's happening. Okay, why so? It's because there is still a divergence in terms of monetary policy for the US and the Bank of Japan, for the Federal Reserve and the Bank of Japan. US rates increased. They might be holding or might be slowing down or pausing, but the Bank of Japan is, recently just reiterated that they will still continue with the easing policy. So I'm still looking, as much as we see any downside, I'm still looking to see, can we be looking for a possible place to buy. All right, that moved down because of the news. I was scalping that down. Now I wouldn't be looking to sell down on the yen. I'll only be looking to see where could I buy it back up. So if I adjusted this, right, just to identify those tails as it bounced, this could well break down from this point. It could well break down. I would, based on my bias, I would not be looking to sell down. I'll be looking for a possible bounce. 23.6 is done. Let's see what happens. Yep. let's see what happens at 38.2, which actually coincides quite closely to yesterday's low. Right, so that forms a bit of a support area. If that does break, it could come down to that 132 level. I know it's in between the 50 and the 61.8% level, but I do like that round number of 132. Right, so for this to break, we might see this trade down. I'm looking for this bounce up again. So I'm looking for a reaction at about 132. Okay. I don't think it's going to happen soon. I think it's going to drop. I wouldn't, it's a 100 pip move to the downside, but I'm willing to forego that. I'm looking for that bounce. So on the dollar yen, same thing. Looking for reaction, for possible test and reaction at 132. Is the UJ trade entered on M15? Robbie, are you talking about the one that I got into? There was a pre-news one, so I actually just went on to, 2 minutes before the news or 3 minutes before the news, I just popped a small trade in. I actually sized down, popped a small trade in, and I think it was on the it's either on H1 or the M15 time frame, but it was not because of the time frame. It was more because of the news event. I just wanted to catch a move. Because I did try before where I put a buy or sell order, and then I get slipped out of that order as well. So I wasn't happy. So I ended up, jumping in earlier this time. So that's the US yen looking for it to push to the downside and then a bounce up. Pound dollar, like we were sharing before, it traded up. Some of you made money on that, so very good. Take that away. Now, don't do anything on the pound dollar. Right? Now, don't do anything on the pound dollar because look at it, it's approaching this high. Right? The 1.2520 level. The last 3 times it got to this point. 1 time hit, retrace. 2 times hit, retrace. 3 times came close, big retrace down again. Right now, it's coming to that level again. Let's wait. Let's see what happens. Even if it does break, you do have 1.255, 1.2555 there, which was last reached and tested in June last year. Okay, so I'll zoom in here. And you can see that June last year touched that level and a big trade down again. So, as much as the pound dollar could very well go to the upside, I would say, it's time to be careful on the pound dollar, especially with how GDP was. We're not focusing so much on the GDP at this point, but it's odd that you have a bad news on the GDP and yet we see the pound dollar pushing up. It's because of the dollar index. IMF just downgraded UK economic growth and pound is still strong. That's why, right? So that's why it's climbing now because of the weak dollar, not because of a stronger pound. So there are other trades to buy up because of a weak dollar. I wouldn't do it on the pound right now. So I would say, pound dollar, what you could, and it's just pausing at that 1.25 level. For the people who like counter trend trades, what you could be looking for here is a test and reject, or if it does break above, a test and reject. Okay, clean up. That was a terrible drawing. So I would say that a more speculative trade, right, looking at how the dollar index is moving, is possible sell at 1.2520 right? And the good thing about this, if you're looking to sell at 1.2520, you can keep a very tight stop loss, 15 pip stop loss, right? We can be looking at a 50 pip take profit, a very good risk reward ratio to the downside here on the pound dollar. And if we did this, no, okay, this doesn't work. Yeah, take that away. Okay, so I'm looking for that move. This will be a counter trend trade. Okay, so pound dollar counter trend. We're looking to sell 1.2520, stop loss 15, very tight. Take profit was possibly even 50 pips. So you're looking at almost a 1:4 risk reward ratio. Okay. No, 50. Okay, there we go. What about you guys? Do you guys prefer, are you more tended towards um, trend following trades, or more tended towards counter trend trades? I know some of you. I know some of you very well. So, and I know how you trade. So I kind of guess what M Leader is going to say. But do let me know. Are you more counter trend traders, or are you more trend traders? So I can kind of figure out and tweak things for you guys. Right? Euro dollar moved very well. So yesterday we were talking about the euro dollar buy from 1.0940. 1.0940 is right there. Okay, so that actually moved up very nicely. Take that away. I hope you guys got into that trade. If anyone got into that trade, pushed up, broke above that resistance level, and you can see we're in a very high point again. But on the H4 time frame, we do have another resistance at this point. Suki is waving a lot. Hey, how are you doing? I like trend and breakout trades. More trend. Signal mark is counter trend. Okay. What about everyone else? Okay, so 1.1030 is the euro dollar resistance. At this point, it's too late to enter a trade, because if you're looking to buy above the high, that's a 25 pip move. It's not worth it. I'm not even going to be thinking. Contrary to the pound dollar, I wouldn't be looking at this as a counter trend trade. For possible counter trend trade, I think that we're looking for the euro dollar to test that 1.1030 resistance. With the next resistance beyond that, I don't think it's going to get to 1.1. I don't think it get there soon. 1.108485. I think what you need to do, what you would end up doing on the euro dollar, is either very shorter term trades, right? Shorter term trades to the upside, or super long. It wouldn't work on the intraday, just because the risk to reward at this point wouldn't make sense. And I don't see the possibility of a big retrace on the euro dollar either. So I'm looking at this. I don't see it coming back down to bounce back up. I think we're likely to see it just climb towards 1.1030 and possibly higher. So I would say, you could be looking for a buy above 1.1045, stop loss, 20 pips, take profit 1.11, 1.11 about there, 50 pips. That'd be that kind of trade just to the round number level. Okay. So euro dollar is just going to be climbing up. We'll be looking to buy if it breaks above 1.1045, 25 pip stop loss, 50 pip take profit. 1.1045 stop loss, 25 TP 50. Okay, so just to show you how that looks like is like that. So 25 pip, 50 pips was just at that 1.10 level, or 55 pips. Head and shoulder to retest the trend line. Possible. Kaka Trade said head and shoulder. It could hit head and shoulder, but in 15 minutes, this looks like if it does push up, it might offset that shoulder already. So I think it might retrace a little bit, but then I'm still looking for that push to the upside there. Okay. I don't think that head and, based on the way price is moving, I don't think that head and shoulder is going to form nicely. Okay, US Swiss franc, someone was on this. Who was it? Spiros was on the US Swiss franc, making money, I'm sure. Very good. I would like to say, this is the money making session that you guys are joining. So it's come down, dollar, because of that dollar weakness, pushing lower, testing that 0.8934, 0.8935 support level. Okay, and I'll tell you that I'm in my 10 plus years of trading, I probably would have done less than 10 trades on the US Swiss franc. And that's why, most of the time I'll tell you that I don't have a trade for the US Swiss franc. Support level there, the next one down is at 8.873. Yep. Which is now, if we come to this point, if that dollar does continue to weaken, right? If it does continue to weaken, breaking that support level, what we could be looking for is a continuation, right? A continuation, 8.925. Take profit, 50 pips, almost 50 pips. Stop loss, breaking that support level, we could be looking at a 25 pip stop loss for 50 to the downside there. How come I don't trade the US Swiss franc because it's too volatile or something? Two reasons. One is when I first started trading, there was a very clear inverse relationship between the euro dollar and the US Swiss franc because of the peg that the euro and the Swiss had. The euro Swiss franc had a peg. So there's a very clear inverse relationship in terms of price. So when I focused on the euro dollar, or when I traded the euro dollar, there was no need to trade on the US Swiss franc, or rather it would be doubling up on the risk. So I didn't want to do that. So I just got used to trading the euro dollar rather than Swiss franc. And then two is back in 2016, if I'm not wrong, the Swiss National Bank surprised markets unpegging against the euro. And we saw a big, within an hour, it was almost like a $2,000 pip move on the US Swiss franc, which wiped out a lot of hedge funds, brokerages, funds, banks. A lot of people lost money on that. So, I kind of get the feeling that the Swiss National Bank has that tendency to surprise markets a bit too much. So I ended up really focusing on the euro rather than on the US Swiss franc. Okay. So, yeah, I hope I answered your question there, Suki. 8925, 25 to 50. US Swiss franc, sell, oops, 0.8925, stop loss 25, TP 50. Now it's a repeat of history with Credit Suisse. A bit less. I mean, Credit Suisse didn't have that much of an impact. Okay, on a side note, right, I digress, but I think in that move there, right, so that's what I was talking about, right? It went from, this was on the 15th of Jan, right, 15th of Jan 2015. It went from 1.020 straight down within the day to 0.83, right? And before that, it was on a big upward move. One day just wiped everything out. So that's one of the, I was trading during that time, just caught everyone by surprise. Good thing was I wasn't trading the US Swiss franc then. Okay, is dollar bouncing a bit? Yeah, dollar's bouncing a little bit. Then with that, looking at the US CAD, moved exactly, we were just talking about this, driven by the dollar index with the interest rate decision from the Bank of Canada. Some of you did get into the trade there, so very good, well done for that. I was going to share with you that other trade. Okay, now with the US CAD, if, and that's a big if, it breaks in 9 minutes. Okay, I don't think this is going to happen in 9 minutes. I was going to say if it closes below this point, right? If it closes below this level, then we could see more downside driven by the dollar weakness. At this point right now, you would have to wait on the US CAD to see whether we're going to see more downside. The thing about how the market is right now, and I'll tell you that I had this morning a quick scalp on the US yen. I had a quick scalp on the pound yen, and that's it. I haven't got any other trades this morning to now, because if I did a quick review again, a lot of things are either right in the middle, right, or at very high levels, right, at very high levels, which could form that whole double top pattern, or the head and shoulder pattern for the big retrace. So I'm just being extra cautious, especially with the US CAD here. If this fails to break, you might actually see a big retrace, a correction upwards. And it's already happened once, right at the start of this month, right? It's already happened once where it failed to break and we saw a big push. So, just be careful, mindful of that possibility. I'll take these away and I'll show you what I mean as well. So that head and shoulder played out very nicely for us. Okay, I'll take these away, and if I drew this down to this point, right, all it needs to do is to trade up a little bit. It'll be breaking that downward trend line, and then we could see a big push up again. So I'm just going to be cautious, and in fact, I do think that while it could drop, you might also be looking at this as a possible counter trend opportunity. All right, 40 pip stop loss, almost 80 pip take profit towards the next resistance level, a 1:2 risk reward ratio to the upside there on the US CAD. Bill, I will do a video on Bollinger. That's actually on my list to do. I'm trying to build a whole list of videos. I'll do one a day, so 1 or 2 a day. So I'll do that, Bill. Yeah. Why I'm hesitating on telling you guys that we could sell the US CAD down is, as much as it can drop lower, and that's not the support there. We do have a support here. Okay, I'll tell you what. Here we go. The trend following trade will be to sell the US CAD down if it breaks that support level, right? 1.33, below 1.34. Stop loss 20 pips, take profit almost 40 pips to the downside, right? Almost 40 pips to 1.3360. But I'm going to be watching out for a possible bounce and a correction up. So it's both sides. Okay, so US CAD break, sell below 1.3340. Was it 3340? No, 1.3340. Yep. Stop loss 20, take profit almost 40. Where was it? Sell below 1.3340. Stop loss 20, TP 40. Watch for possible counter trend. So, do I have any thoughts on pound yen? I do. I'm getting to that next. So good question there, Venetia. So that's the US CAD. Okay, I'll jump to pound yen. US yen is having a strong push down for the last 5-minute battle. Okay, we let them battle away. I'll tell you the funny thing about pound yen is that I actually did, let me just check my trade history. Where was it? Okay, there. I got in at 166.45. All right, so I got in right there. So this was a trade I was looking at on the pound yen. I might, okay, let me do this. I'll clean up the chart. So it's too many lines just then. We saw this test up on Wednesday, broke strongly to the downside, and then pound dollar pushed it back up again, and then broke down. So I was looking at this going, hey, it looks like it's forming that double top. It looks like we might see a triple top and a big retrace. So I was actually, once I got out my yen, my US yen, I was looking at this thinking, could we see a big retrace down? And I got in at, what am I doing? Okay. I got in at this point, 1.166.45. There. I had my stop loss just above, about 15 pips. And I was actually looking at this move down. So this was what I was looking for. And then just before the session, at that 3 o'clock, almost at the 3 o'clock mark, I closed off my trade. The next moment it bounced back up, and then now it looks like it's continuing down again. Okay, I closed off that trade just because I didn't want to be watching the trade and then talking to you guys, getting a little bit distracted. So I closed off my trade there as a quick scalp to the downside. But I am looking for this possible move, especially as the US yen, has that big push to the downside. I'm anticipating this move down. Okay, but remember we're talking about a pound dollar pushing a little bit higher. This is a little bit of a riskier counter trend trade to the downside. Okay, and I'll show you this. I'll show you this move there. So why am I? No, I was looking at the level here. I was looking at this level. Yep. So 38.2 is right there. So I was just thinking that could it break to that 38.2 level again? Okay. So that was the trade I was looking to. Unfortunately, I got out of it already. It is moving down right now. I am actually now looking, either it's going to break to that downside towards that slow again, or the other thing that was interesting is that we could see this form, and then after that, so the head and shoulder, where is it? So there, and there. So, this is the reason why I got out of the trade quickly as well. One, I was trying to take a risk to trade it down, but also looking at the head and shoulder with the neckline right at that 166.50 or 166.60 level. If this does break above, we could see massive upside for the pound yen. Right, we could see massive upside for the pound yen. Hopefully, it happens now. I would love to do this live together with you guys. Because of that chart pattern, DXY is gone. Where do you go? Oh, look at that. All right, I'm gonna have to end the session quickly because I want to trade. No, I'm just kidding. So with this pushing up, if it does break above this point, next resistance level is at 167. It's at 167. Okay, so if it does come up and test and look to reject, you could be looking to sell down. But I would, no, not 167. Sorry. I would say that it was this one here. This was the dotted line. And then we have 169 up there. That's right. Okay, so this is what I was looking at. If it does break up, okay, you could look to get in as it breaks above that resistance level and then trade up possibly towards 169 with a bit of hesitation at 167, 168. But I would love to see this trade break above. You could even do 167, stop loss that maybe 60 pips. You take profit 180 or 1:3 risk reward ratio to the upside there on the pound yen, right? Together with the inverted head and shoulder pattern and all that. So let me just do that. Getting super distracted as price starts moving. Buy 167, stop loss 60 pips, take profit 180. Buy one, stop loss 60, TP 180. Okay. We'll see. We'll see how the yen goes. Right, dollar index is not bouncing. We'll take that away. Still 140. I'll revise this and say still downward move expected. Support at 100, 101. Okay, that's it. That could happen. Look at that. That's coming up soon. Next up is gold. Moving as we expected, came down, test this level, pushed up, getting to that 2033 level. If it breaks 2033, the next one is at 2051. Okay, so gold right now would be a quick scalp to 2033. If you are not comfortable with scalping, I wouldn't enter a trade until it breaks past 2033. Could happen that it tests 2033 and then has a big retrace again, right? It could retrace back down. So don't do anything on gold unless it breaks above 2033. Gold upside to 2033 needs to break above first. Okay, there we go. So this is moving likely down to 101. And then Euro. Oh, wait. Someone asked, some Spiros asked for Aussie CAD. Let's do Aussie CAD. Aussie CAD, we spoke about this yesterday. It shot up, pushing higher because of the Aussie dollar pushing higher. So I think the recent high was there at 0.9023 or 25. If you are not in the trade already, it needs to break above this point before you could be, take that away, before you could be looking for another buy. So about 0.9022527. Take profit 20 pips is a small move. This will be a small move up. This will be a scalp. I mean, I wouldn't do an H1 time frame. I would do it on a smaller time frame to trade it up. If it breaks above 9050, then the next key resistance will be at 9090, another 40 pips move. So if you're comfortable with scalp, you can trade this up to that resistance. If not, then you could be looking at a 40 pip move, very tight stop loss to 9090. All right. Any further questions at this point? Pound yen is not ready. It's testing. I would wait for the end of the hour. It's still early in the hour, so I'll wait for the end of the hour. US CAD looks like it's trading down because of the way the dollar index is moving. Kiwi dollar not ready yet. Aussie not yet as well. US yen bounced. Bit of a, close the hour right at the support and that trend line, bouncing up a bit. So don't do anything there. If it does bounce from this point, maybe you can see an upside move. Pound dollar seems like it's losing a little bit of strength, but something to watch for a retrace. Euro dollar trading up as we are looking for it to break that resistance for a big upward move. Swiss franc, hey, that's could be a trade. So that comes to the point where we're talking about, are you going to enter during the price move or on the close? This would be something for you to consider. US CAD looking to trade down. I don't think there's going to be a counter anymore. So let's update that and say, I don't think there's going to be a counter there. All right. Euro pound, I actually did an analysis already, so it's going to be there for you guys. Okay. All right, cool. Thanks, you can go trade. No worries. I'm going to watch. It's still a little bit early. Moves are just forming. I'm not big on rushing into a trade, especially into a little bit early in the hour. We might see a retrace, like what we saw here on the yen. Pound is pushing up, and pound yen. So I'm glad I got out of that trade there. That counter trend is probably off the charts already, off the watch list already. Now I'm looking for that break for that upward move. What scale does market expect inflation to be at? Market expects, market doesn't expect, I don't know what the market expects, but the Fed Reserve or the central banks wants the inflation to be at that 2 to 3% level. All right. Hey, are you guys shooing me away? Everyone's like, oh, Jin, you should go trade. Good volumes. I probably will. All right. So with that said, please remember, trade well, trade safe. I will see you all tomorrow, 3 p.m. GMT +8. And if you haven't already, do jump onto the Discord channel. Again, it's on TradingView and also now on YouTube. Do jump into that. We can take this discussion and excitement onto Discord. And look, it's all retracing back down. So lucky we're not rushing into any trades. Be disciplined, trade well, trade safe. Take care now. Bye bye.